Okay, let's look at how to create a new instance of a Mongo database. So in February 2019, MLab, the popular MongoDB database as a service provider, closed off their new account creations. So now the preferred approach is to use Mongo Atlas to create an instance instead. And by the end of 2019, all MLab services will be migrated anyway to Atlas. So this is a good thing to learn. All right, so to get started, go to the MongoDB website, which is mongodb.com/cloud/atlas. And on there, we can see that we have a sign in button at the top. So we're going to use that one. Just click on that, or you can click the start free button here as well. And that will just take you down to a simple form. So just email address, password, first name, last name, and that will get you started. I've already got an account, so I'm not going to sign up again, but just make sure you sign up that form and verify your email and all those sorts of things. Don't forget to click the I agree to the terms and conditions there. And yep, I am now going to just sign in. So once you've created your account, you should end up on a screen that looks something like this. So you might not have anything initially here. So this is a cluster that I've already created. So first things first, go to the top left, and here we have the option to create a new project. So a project is just whatever application you're working on. So we can click there, and for the purpose of this demo, I'm just going to call it Kadiri YouTube Demo. So you've got a box, you can put your name in there. And as well as that, you have the option at this stage to add some members to that database. So you should be there by default. You should see your email as the project owner. So that of course means that you'll have full access rights to that database. If you know that you're working with someone and you have their email, you could also add them at this stage and pick what permissions you wish to give them. So starting from read only up to more admin rights nearer the top. Yeah, so just choose a suitable permission set for that. Okay, just click create your project when you're ready. And you should see a screen that looks like this, create a cluster. So this step does take a little while. Can take up to sort of 7 to 10 minutes, but essentially you want to just click the build a cluster button in the middle. And really important here that we select all the free tier options unless you want to be charged. So you have an option of 3 different providers, the big ones, right? AWS, Google, and Microsoft. So what I usually do, as we're in Europe, I pick one of the Europe options, so either Ireland or Frankfurt. Being in the UK, Ireland's the nearest, so I just go for that. Make sure it has free tier available, whatever option you do select. And that will be the M0 cluster tier. So you can see that it gives you 512 megabytes of free storage, no backup settings with the free tier, but it is distributed in a cluster. So basically what that cluster means is you will have a primary cluster, and then you will have a bit of replication in there as well. You will have 2 secondary clusters as well. So the idea being that it's just a bit more reliable in your data transfer if you've got multiple instances there. Yeah, you've got your primary and your secondary, so if something fails on the primary, we should be able to retrieve that data from the secondary as well. Don't forget to put your cluster name down the bottom, because cluster 0 is not very descriptive. So if you're working on CodeFlix, you can of course just call that CodeFlix down here, or whatever new project name you want to do, right? So I'm just going to put whatever, demo 2 for now. I think I've already got a demo, so I'll put a demo 2. And just create that cluster down the bottom. Make sure again it says free before you click that, otherwise you could be charged. Okay, so that's the bit that takes a little bit of time. So I will just take this opportunity to double check that my YouTube is streaming, I guess. Can anyone check YouTube for me and just check whether it's streaming? I'm also doing a recording so I can upload it manually if needed. We had a few issues, didn't we, yesterday with the stream. As well as that, I will just introduce the MongoDB. It's not streaming again. Okay, so I'm going to have to manually upload the recording, but that's fine, and I'll try and check the link in a second. Just got that. Okay, thanks, Ewan. So some extra resources that might be of use to you when you're learning MongoDB is the university.mongodb.com. And on there they've got a range of courses. The place to start initially is this M001 course that covers the basics. So it'll look at just the basic operators and commands in Mongo and a few other things, right? If you want to learn a bit more about clusters, you've got the basic cluster administration course there. And specifically for JavaScript developers, there's a course M220. I can't see it listed here initially, but if I sign in, or even just go to all courses without signing in, we should be able to see M220 down here. So MongoDB, M220JS, MongoDB for JavaScript developers. So this will talk about how to incorporate your Mongo database inside of a Node application as well. So these courses are all free. There's various schedules for them. You can't start them at any time. So it looks like the next schedule is that very, very soon, right? That is next Tuesday for the M220. And for the basic one, we have the same date, right? Also on the 16th of July. So if you want to progress your MongoDB skills on, it might be worth starting that on the 16th of July. Totally up to you. There's no penalty if you don't pass it the first time. You can retake it as many times as you want. You do get a little certificate at the end, but for more formal MongoDB certifications, then there are official, whatever you want to call them, official exams, yeah, but they are paid exams. Okay, yeah, as well as that, they've got their own YouTube channel. So on MongoDB Atlas, the thing we're using at the moment to set up our clusters and our database, then they've got a few example videos there that will help you set up. I've shared that link on Slack with the group as well. So if you want to have a look at that, then please be my guest. Let's see if my cluster has now been created. Excellent, right? So, or it wasn't even that one, but yeah, it has also been created. Cool. So the next steps that we need are, we are going to have to, what's next? So yeah, there's a couple of things. I think connect is probably the best way to go next. So we have to whitelist our IP address. So we can either whitelist where we are currently connecting from just by clicking that add your current IP address button, or just for the purpose of testing, what you might want to do is just whitelist everywhere. And you can do that by, so you don't want to do this in a production app, but just for testing purposes, you might just want to input this address. So 0.0.0.0 slash / that is 0, and add that as an IP address. That will whitelist anything. So in other words, we're allowing access from any IP address into our database. You can obviously make it more secure by just allowing certain IP addresses to connect to your database, such as your personal one or anyone who uses the database and has admin rights as well. Yep, so next thing as well, you want to create a MongoDB user. So we need to connect to the database in some way. So therefore we need to have a username and a password. For this case, I'm just going to use exactly the same name as the project, demo2 and demo2, and then click create MongoDB user. So that should now have been created. And then we need to connect to our app, test that we've correctly created this database. Choose a connection method. So there are various connection methods. We've got the shell, we've got via nodes, so via our application or another programming language and backend obviously. And what I'm just going to do now, because it's probably the easiest way, is just connect with MongoDB Compass. So that's another program that we need to download, and it's essentially a GUI that lets us interact with our MongoDB databases. In the CodeFlix instructions, you might have also heard of Robo3T, but MongoDB Compass is the one that's officially supported by the Mongo team. So there should be a link here to click download Compass. Again, I've already got it downloaded, so I'm not going to download it again, but that should download it based on your operating system there. We're going to need this connection string at some point, so you can just click the copy button on the right here. And then you want to open up MongoDB Compass once it's been installed, and MongoDB Compass should detect that you have a connection string on your clipboard. So just say, yes, I do want to use that connection string to fill out the form, and that will fill out everything for you apart from the password. So it will let you know where the database is located. It will let you, well, it will fill in your username and all the other settings for you apart from your password. So make sure you've remembered that from the previous step, and enter demo 2 there, and also give it a favorite name so you can reference it later and easily connect later. So don't forget that down the bottom. Don't click connect yet, click create the favorite to actually store those settings on the left hand side, and then click connect. And if all goes well, you should get this screen with 3 databases already set up by default. You'll get an admin database, a config database, and a local one. We're actually going to create another one as well, which we're going to use to store our data, and we can do that by going back to, just ignore that, that's my operating system. We can just go back to the Mongo Atlas webpage, so cloud.mongodb.com, should still be open, and click on the collections button this time. When you click on that, you should see that we can add our own data. So if you click on that button, it will ask you for a database name and a collection name. So the database name is the whole database, and the collection is a specific group of data that you want to store. So your database name might be, or I'm just going to still stick with mine the same for now, so I'm going to just say demo 2, and then your collection name, if you were storing some movies, could just be called movies, right? Some data about some movies. Click create there, and Atlas itself provides a way for us to interact with the entries, or the documents as they're called in Mongo, inside of that collection. And if we refresh our demo 2 database, now we also see that we have a demo 2 database there with a movies collection inside. So there's no movies in there, no movie data in there at the moment, but you can also use Compass once you've connected to your database to insert a document, right? And that will just pop up a essentially a JSON formatted object, or at least a template that will create a JSON object. And in there, it's just key value pairs again, right? So if I wanted to give my movie a name, then I could just type name there. Well, title's probably better, right? So I can type title, and then I can type the actual title of my movie. Whatever you like. And then just insert that. And we can see that that's been added to our database collection. So I'm going to stop this video there, but then later on we're going to look at how to connect that database that we've created to a Node app essentially, and we'll look at how to perform some basic operations using the Mongo driver via our Node application, and we can do things like add documents to the database, delete them, and so forth. All right, thank you very much.